Hi, I'm Jordan Standridge, and I work in the marketing department at Charles Bridge Publishing. This is a case study, a new series where we chat with Kidlit creators about the Kidlit in their bookcase. Our guest today is Molly Beth Griffin. She lives and works in Minneapolis, where she teaches at the Loft Literary Center and is the author of such books as Rhoda's Rock Hunt, Silhouette of a Sparrow, and her latest, 10 Beautiful Things. Welcome, Molly.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here today. All right, let's kick this off. As a teacher of Kidlit, I'm curious to know if there are any particular books that you find yourself coming back to and using often in the classroom.
I use a ton of books. Every time I teach, I have this giant rolly box and I fill it up and I haul, many, many pounds of picture books around. So that's a really hard question, but my students always hear Nana in the City over and over again, Lauren Castillo, which is just the perfect book for teaching picture book structure and patterns and rhythms of storytelling in picture books. It's just like simple and perfect. So I use that a ton. And I also use Last Stop on Market Street by Matt de la Peña and Pictures by Christian Robinson. So this one I can use, give me any craft element and I can teach it with this book. But one thing that I'm really grateful to it for is talking about theme and heart, because that is really hard to teach. And so you just have to look at books that do it really well and say, okay, how are they doing it? And this is just such a beautiful example of books that move you, change you every time you read them. And how does it do that? And then we dissect,
So what books have you acquired that also have influenced your own writing?
So many. And it's hard to track, like what books, what ideas come from where and everything. But I wanted to mention Joyce Sidman for sure. And this is her Winter Bees, which is illustrated by Rick Allen. But really all of Joyce Sidman's books have been important to me. This is about how animals survive the winter, and it's poems on one side and nonfiction on the other. And so to me, what she does so well that I'm trying to do every time I write is to communicate this sort of awe in the natural world. This one I used as a mentor text really specifically for a book of poems about growing that I have coming out in probably 2023. It's my first Kidlit poetry collection. And so we're doing that, poems on one side and nonfiction on the other, and a theme through the whole thing. The other person I wanted to talk about is Phyllis Root. This is Looking for a Moose by Phyllis Root, which she's had a long and wonderful career. She was my grad school advisor. So her fingerprints are all over my work. And I think what she does so well is she writes the music of the storytelling. She makes it dance. So the language of picture books is so important to how kids experience the read aloud. And she's so good at doing that and using all of the tools that we have available to us to make the book come alive and make it fun to read and make it fun to listen to an experience with a kid. Definitely what I would love to do with my work too. So she was a wonderful mentor for me in graduate school at Hamlin, and still she lives actually around the corner. So
neat. You also have a family full of readers. Is there a book that's consistently been in your family's reading rotation? And are there any new contenders that are showing up?
One of the picture books that my daughter has loved for years and continues to love is probably her favorite title is The Rabbit Listened by Corey Deerfeld. And Corey's local too and lovely, and she has a lot of books out. But this one it just speaks to her. She has a connection to it. It's just this really interesting, very gentle story about loss that's light and fun and funny, like the different animals that come and boss him around about his feelings are really funny. And then the rabbit ends up just sitting with him and letting him be sad until he's ready to do what he needs to do. And that, I don't know, it's very profound, but it's very simple and very child friendly. And she just has loved it. It came out when she was probably 4 and she's 7 now. And it's just as powerful to her, you know, on the 87th read. So, and also because she loves how cute the bunny is. And so the idea of snuggling the bunny is very dear to her. So that one has been in the rotation forever. A newer book, so she's at a good chapter book age, and these new Astrid and Apollo books by V.T. Badania. She's local as well, Vong. They are about Hmong twins having kid adventures. There's a fishing one, and this one about the New Year's celebration. And she really likes these. They're the kids in them are really different from her, but also very like her in a lot of ways. And I think that is a really powerful thing for her to read as a white kid. These stories are great, and they're capstone books, and there are 4 more coming out in August, so we're excited.
Oh, awesome.
That. This is an all-time favorite. Dory Phantasmagoria. Do you know these books?
Yeah.
The whole series of them. They're so funny. They're so funny. So we started out reading them aloud to the kids, and now that they reread them to themselves all the time. And it's sort of like a Ramona character who has this rich fantasy life that then gets sort of blended in with her real life on the page. She has like a monster that lives under her bed that's like her best friend, and then a villain that's like a witch sort of villain. And they're all real to her, so they're real in the story. And my older child loves them too, and he's going on 12.
Oh, cool.
And he still thinks they're hilarious because it's about little kid antics, you know, and
yeah.
kids think little kid antics are funny. But his tastes run more to the dragons.
Oh, yeah.
And he's very into Wings of Fire and Dactyl Hill Squad by Daniel Jose Older. This is book 3 because he is currently rereading book 1 and did not want to give it to me this morning.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, they're Civil War historical fantasy where the kids ride dinosaurs. And this group of kids of color are on adventures to try to save the day on the back of their dinosaurs. So he loves it. You know, it's like action, dinosaurs, a little bit of history, but mostly action and dinosaurs. And then his other favorite is the Dark Crystal prequels. So Joseph Lee did these ahead of the Netflix series. And they're 3, and then there's a bunch of spin-off material. Amazing world building, amazing magic, amazing creature creation. And of course he loved the original movie, and then which I grew up with. And then now there's the new series on Netflix, which is great. And then Joe Lee did these.
The Twin Cities Kidlit community is pretty strong. And I'm wondering if there's, besides Rabbit Listened, if there's a book by a local author that you're particularly fond of.
Yeah, I mean, we have just a thriving Kidlit community here in the Twin Cities and in Minnesota. And so there's so many people who are writing and illustrating and making amazing titles, and it's a hard question. But I did want to talk about Bao Phi and A Different Pond, because I've actually known Bao for a very long time. We met when I was 14, and I got to, I know, right? It's a long time ago. I got to be an alternate for the slam team.
That's how you met?
Yeah, I was taking a class at McAllister, a summer youth sort of thing with Diego Vasquez, who was in charge of the Twin Cities Slam team. And Bao was like 20 or something, and he was on doing his slam thing, and I got to be an alternate. So then I became like a super fan. And we've been friends ever since. So when he is a dad now, and he wanted to write books for kids like his daughter. And so I had the pleasure of helping him get this book out. So yeah, and he's been helping with my poetry for years and all of that. So it was very fun to get to work. I love working with poets on picture books because it's such a natural form change. So we worked many, many drafts on a different pond. And then this book did really, really well. So he got to do my footprints after that. And then the new one is called Hello, Mandarin Duck. And this is about our neighborhood. So we live in Powderhorn in Minneapolis, and we have a May Day parade every May that Heart of the Beast puppet and mask theater puts on in our park. And it's massive. I mean, tens of thousands of people show up. So, but it's like big costumes and paper mache puppets and, huge people powered floats. And it's super diverse. So this is like a neighborhood of kids that all say hello in different languages and get this duck back to the pond that has gotten lost. So it's about like accepting people from everywhere and a community kind of opening their hearts to all kinds of people. So that's Hello Mandarin Duck, which is just came out in like February. And, in a pandemic, it's so different to have a book out. So I think a lot of people didn't realize there was a new book out. But that one is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And it's fun for us here in South Minneapolis to get to see our parade on the page. So it, I think we talked about this in terms of influences, but also in terms of personal connections that we have when we write in a community. Our manuscripts are not only ours. They, they've been through a lot of revision and a lot of critique from our peers and our community. And then when they come out, they're actually a combination of a lot of people's creative work. You can't write alone. And I think that's what's been so hard about the last year. So I run a picture book salon here in Minneapolis. That's a monthly event. And it's been going, I got a grant in like 2012 and started it then. And then we've kept going. And that's been great. I mean, we have speakers and content, but it's also just keeping people connected with each other. And then showing up for people's events and, spreading the word about their books and all of that.
My next question, there are some well-known children's bookstores in your area too. We always want to provide our guests with a space to give a shout out to their favorite indies, libraries that they love and support. Is there any places that you would like to highlight?
Absolutely. We have an embarrassing wealth of independent bookstores here in the Twin Cities. The Red Balloon Bookshop is amazing for supporting local authors. They're amazing at hosting events for us, and the events are great. So, and now, with things on Zoom, people can come from anywhere. So definitely check out Red Balloon Bookshop in St. Paul. Wild Rumpus Books for Young Readers is in Minneapolis, and they're going to be opening for browsing again soon, which is good because what's wonderful about Wild Rumpus is that it's full of animals. So they have great books, but they also have like chinchillas and chickens running around the bookstore. So it's a beautiful space. It has like a sort of canoe on the ceiling that's cracking through, and I mean, it's just gorgeous.
Oh, wow.
They have their scary books in like a little haunted house within the store. It's just an amazing space, and it's full of creatures. So when you bring your toddler, they get to like chase the cats around and meet the ferret, and it's very fun. And then the other one, we were talking about writing with people, and the place that's great for that is Moon Palace Books, which is not a children's bookstore, though they have a great children's section there, and all books bookstore. And they also are just such a community hub. They have a farmer's market. They're teamed up with the Midtown Farmers Market. So on Saturdays and Tuesday nights, it's farmers market in their little courtyard. They have a black box theater where they do music stuff in non-pandemic times. And they have a cafe where they make pizza, and it's like the best pizza. Oh, wow. So I would meet writers there, and we'd sit and write in there, you know, bookstore plus pizza plus, you know. So I miss that a lot, and I will be excited to get back. They've just been really supportive to the whole community that they're in during the pandemic and during our uprising here in the Twin Cities. Yeah. They are right next door to the 3rd Precinct that burned in the protests. So they have been in the thick of it and very supportive of the neighborhood. Those are probably the 3 that I use the most.
Last but not least, I would love if you could share a little bit about 10 Beautiful Things with us.
Here's my new book, 10 Beautiful Things, written by me and illustrated by Maribel Lechuga, who is in Spain. And it's just a story of a girl who's going to move in with her grandma. And they're driving to Iowa, and she's upset. And her grandma suggests that they find 10 beautiful things along the way. And it's the story of sort of learning to see the small things around us that can fill us up and help us keep going when things are rough. So I think the best thing about, I mean, I've been waiting for this book to come out. I wrote this when I was pregnant with my son, who, you know, is now reading Dactyl Hill. So it was a long time ago. And it's been quite the journey to having it out. But it's been really wonderful to see people enjoy the book, but then go out and do this in the world, especially right now when they really have needed small positives in their regular life to help them deal with big change and big loss and big grief.
All right. That is all for this episode of A Case Study. Thank you so much for joining us, Molly. It was so great to have you here with us today.
Thank you.
Thanks to Hannah and Colette, who are supporting us behind the scenes here. Thank you, the viewers, for tuning in. So until next time, see you soon.